Finishing setting up here. I actually did not anticipate coming live tonight, but it worked out. Had some stuff to grab down from the shop, and so I was like, you know what? Let's give it 30 minutes. We all got 30 minutes tonight, I think. Really just wanted to elaborate on George Pickens and Kenny Clark. Let's go ahead and do our sound check real quick too, because the last time we had a live show, I forgot to check the chat, and we ended up going 20 minutes with improper audio. It was actually recording. The audio was coming through the camera that I was streaming through. Okay. Kenny Clark and George Pickens, man, there's a lot. There's a lot going on, and I feel like I probably needed to elaborate on the George Pickens situation, anyways. That was already in the plans, so we can take 30 minutes to do that, and then kind of clear up any of the Kenny Clark confusion, if there is any. There shouldn't be, regarding Bill Barnwell's recent article that came out. The Pickens trade compensation, actually, from Ian Rappaport was just as ridiculous, in my opinion. You strike gold with a third round pick, and all of a sudden you're just going to turn around and give that gold away for a dart, a rookie dart that you don't have any idea about how it's going to pan out. Tell me how that makes sense. I'm gonna turn this light on real quick. There's 5 of y'all in here real quick. Let me know. Let me know if this looks better with the lights on or off. Real quick, hold on. Good Lord, 50 shades of blue today. Not intentional, I swear. What do we think? It's weird. It's almost like I like the light on at night, but off in the day. It's weird. Preferential stuff. You know what? Let me finish going. While y'all still only 6 people in here, nobody's active yet. I'm gonna let y'all loosen up a little bit behind the scenes, and I'm gonna finish updating this thumbnail here. Hold up. Give y'all a little background noise for just a second while I finish this thumbnail. Put it on the live show so people know what we're talking about. Know that we're not just blabbering. We kind of are, but audio sound okay? Let me know. Left Kenny. Get that Kenny Clark. We're gonna add Pickens over here. Put him out the way. Mic check. Full transparency, the real reason I came down here the first time, or to begin with, was because I brought the little Theragun Mini down here so I don't wake my wife and my son up to massage this Charlie horse that I've got in my right calf. Can't get it to relax or go away. I'm adequately hydrated, so before you start brainstorming and asking questions, let's get that off the top. I get my sodium, potassium, and magnesium, multiple different quantities throughout the day. All right, let me make George Pickens a little bit more transparent here. That because we're not really blaming anybody. Okay. Beat 5. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, Black Ops. The beat 5. Like I said, this wasn't planned, so just bear with me here for a second. All right, we do things off the cuff sometimes around here. You got 3 kids, man, it just says what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, and you have an ounce of energy in a quiet house, you try to spend it wisely, you know? Suave D's up in here, there we go. Let's get the chat rolling, man. Y'all gonna help me through this one. I actually caught a live show. Well, see, AJ, it's really not your fault, my man, because I don't do enough of them. So there's not really enough of live shows happening for me once again because my schedule is unpredictable. I usually just end up recording at night and scheduling it for the next day, or getting everything situated before I post. Let's call it. I remember the book Lenny and George, or those are the two main characters of the book. I forget what the book was called. Of Mice and Men. That was the motivation, or the inspiration, I should say, behind the title of this thumbnail for tonight's live show. Don't say Kenny and George. No specification as to who's who. Obviously, not meant as any disrespect. Funny. I'm too picky about stuff like this sometimes. I wish I wasn't as OCD about having like a structure to my thumbnails and such. I try to always make it look the same. So a lot. All right, we downloading that. Pretty efficient for me. Making a thumbnail on the fly, just speaking to my OCD, just so you guys know, that usually takes me about 30 minutes because I'm sitting there constantly. I'm overcorrecting mistakes that may or may not have been made by just giving myself too many options to think about. Oh, what if I move the text a little bit lower, made it a little bit bigger? What if I move this picture over here? What if I add this player here? How much is too much? How much is not, or how little is not enough? It's crazy, man. Constantly firing from the hip and you know learning on the fly. So the first things first about slap this thumbnail up on quick too from the studio. Pickens, to me, I think we're all in pretty much agreement on. So let's start with Kenny Clark if we can. We'll have a quick little refresher of what was the purpose or the inspiration behind today's today's project. That's an interesting comment there from Taco, or Tack of Terror. Your commentary is great. Just need to work on your editing. I'm curious as to what you mean. Is it Tack or Taco? Confirm that with me real quick, and then I'd love to get more feedback as to what exactly you're saying. If you mean like the actual production value from my like my long form projects and things, everything you guys see here, if you're talking about specifically like the production value with drops and graphics and bells and whistles and things like that, that is purposeful. There's a very specific reason. Okay, Taco, I got you, my man. There's a very specific reason why it lacks editorial nuance, if you will. And it's because, once again, aforementioned time is not my friend right now. So I'm constantly trying to find ways to be more efficient, recording on the fly. Today's project was recorded last night in my living room. Once again, because it's like I had all my equipment up there with me. Just got the whole squad down. Everybody was peaceful and sleeping. I was like, you know what? I don't want to waste 10 to 12 minutes to switch rooms just to be in my studio, albeit, the quality of the audio and the video is better when I do that. But so it's worth it. But sometimes, man, I just have to pick and choose my battles. And if it's best to just record from the iPhone in the truck, then I'm doing it for real. That's what happened today. If it's best for me to stay up where I was last night and record last night's show about Kenny Clark and some of the things that we're going to elaborate on today, then I'll do it. It's just it's the world that I'm in right now, man. The lane. I'm in the fast lane, 24/7. So what was I about to do? Oh no. It's where the only way to. So, but is that what you meant though, Taco? When you say work on your editing, is that what? Do you mean just like like having drops and video overlays and audio sound bites and things like that? Is that what you're talking about? I'm genuinely curious, just to know what exactly you mean. I'm always looking for constructive criticism. That's honestly part of the sole purpose of this show tonight is brainstorming with you guys in real time. Like, okay, what have I said recently that y'all need elaborating on? 'Cause I genuinely don't know. If y'all don't tell me stuff, I can't learn. I can't communicate with you. I can't get better. I can't adapt. Okay. Too scatterbrained to be doing this, but I'm actually pretty proud of myself for it's good work for me. Pretty good for me to make a thumbnail while I'm live in that small amount of a time. What did that take me? Maybe 2 minutes? Okay, so let's just take it from the top. Bill Barnwell yesterday, and it took us 10 minutes to get rolling. That's how we go. That's how we do things around here. We got a super chat, by the way, from Suave. Just a casual 10. Just just letting us know that he's here. I love it. I appreciate you, Suave. Thank you, man. Where you at, Suave, on Kenny Clark's hypothetical trade from Bill Barnwell today? His cap hit, if they just bring him back and don't do anything with his contract, do you think we should cut him just to save money because there's no guarantees left and it doesn't matter whether he's here or there? Where are you at on Kenny Clark? Where's the chat at on Kenny Clark? And I realize I missed a comment up here from Black Ops. Jerry's a sucker for offense. I never feed into the Pickens drama. He knows it sells tickets too. I think there's some validity to that. And by the way, for anybody who's here for the first time listening, I know most people on a live show this late are going to be returning viewers. But just in case there's not, somebody out there hasn't seen me before, hasn't heard of me before, hasn't, just completely unfamiliar. I'm Lando from the Lando Show. With sports below the surface, from somebody who resonates well with the human element of sport, because I was in that arena as a professional baseball player for a couple of years, and I really started to learn how so much of sport in general, just competition in the world of athletics, is literally between the ears. The internal battles, the things behind the scenes that you don't see, you just the raw emotion, external or internal, is something that must be appreciated and understood, but it's also something that needs to be coached from a really, like, early on. We need to have more people with an appreciation for the human element of sport, especially now today, like when everything is at our fingertips. There's constant comparing and contrasting with peers, with others that you're aspiring to be, or with yourself. Just like, judging yourself based on what you see is like the perfect version of everybody who portrays themselves on social media, right? So athletes need to today more than ever, because of this modern age of distraction and the world at your fingertips, right? With opinions that may or may not come from a good place and that may or may not be accurate or beneficial. They need to understand that failure is a part of what they do, and they need to learn tricks and tactics and things to do, on just how to overcome those things, right? But the biggest thing, obviously, is discipline. Like, if you remain disciplined, you don't cut corners in your preparation. Uh, y- more often than not, you're gonna be prepared. And when you're prepared, you eliminate some of the things that we're talking about here. But the human element of sport at the end of the day, that was a long tangent, a long way to say I'm Lando from the Lando Show, and I appreciate you being here. The main objective of this platform is to creatively convey the sports below the surface truth for the true fan, which is of course you, but it's me because I was you and I still am you in so many ways. Um, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Suave says, I'd like to keep Clark because I think he's a solid defender, and he and Williams can both be anchors for this defense. Okay, great way to great place to start. My my boldest take with Kenny Clark that I realize I haven't really, and it's all over my notes, my whiteboard, my notebooks, my text messages that sometimes I send myself a text message on a whim. Like I keep a running thread with myself of, hey, here's what you got to talk about, and I'll highlight things. But in all three of those, for me, I have notes saying just like every play, just go back and like literally my notes say Kenny Clark every play. Just go back and watch it. And like pull clips from. I've watched most of it, but not with the intention of okay, every single play, what's he like just deeply studying his game, right? The wins, the losses, and everything in between. And all three of those I have it's in my notes saying, hey, this is what you got to do. Because I'm so passionate about what I'm about to say, which is how much Quinnen Williams truly unlocks. Not just obviously everyone. Okay, he's a game wrecking, all pro perennially player, right? We understand the gravity of Quinnen and what he brings to the table, right? Freeing other dudes up. He's the focal point for the opposing offense all week in preparation, right? They're trying to find ways every single play that he's accounted for. They have to know where he is. He's getting double teamed, he's getting chipped all the time. Extra eyes and pass pro from the running backs and such. And then specific plays designed specifically to go away from him. So his gravity, for one, this is my biggest Kenny Clark take, right? It's the pre-Quinnen Kenny is not who we're gonna get, who we got for most of post-Quinnen Kenny, the end of 2025, and what we're gonna get moving forward for at least another year or two. Because Quinnen is best suited, like he's a real one tech. Kenny Clark is a souped up three. He's kind of a hybrid, but he's more a three than he is a one. Quinnen is everything because he's a superhuman. But Kenny needs Quinnen. So when we pull clips and refer to games that happened in the first half of the season, we're telling a slightly different story than what the reality truly is with Kenny Clark. Because when you are tasked with pre-Quinnen, right? Okay, all of a sudden, you can play powerful. You can stop the run. You can absolutely, obviously, get after the quarterback. But when you are anchoring the middle and eating double teams, sometimes triple teams, every play, it wears on you, wears you down. That thumbnail load up? Hopefully it did. Yes, it did. Okay, perfect. Great. Yes. Thank you, AJ. That's a great, just a relatable, a palatable, here you go. Just serve it up on a platter. That is a perfect way to say it. Much better than my overly analytical and won't shut up talking self. It's a love hate relationship for me with that stuff because I know it's part of what makes me me, but at the same time, I wish I could be more efficient with my shows and my process. But we're learning. Constantly trying to learn and grow. But that's right. Williams unlocked Osa, Kenny, and the Edge group. That's real. So this team for so long has lacked interior defensive line, like difference making players. That it just hasn't been a priority for them, much like safety. Remember the last time they drafted a safety was Donovan Wilson. The last time they took one in the first round was Roy Williams. So, the league itself, we had this conversation a couple days back, a week or so ago. The league says that safety is the third least valuable position in the sport. And whether you agree or disagree, what can't be ignored is that this Cowboys team has significantly lacked game-changing talent in those two position rooms. But now they've got one of them solved, and people want to go and try to blow it up. I don't. So I'm trying to understand and I'm trying to wrap my head around like how somebody gets there. So okay, let me take it from the top with Bill Barnwell, and I think his original premise may have been accurate or sound. I think he's a smart guy. He's not an idiot. Now he had some idiotic takes in that article, like the Eagles trade that he proposed. My buddy said it best. Diehard Eagles fan. He summed it up great. He said, so my post that kind of got the ball rolling, and it's all fun and games, right? So no hard feelings to Bill Barnwell. This is my second time kind of strongly refuting one of his takes in 3 months, but I really don't have any ill will against him. I think he's a smart guy. He has a really tough job, and that's where, like, honestly, people like me, people like us, come in. That's why it's important. That's why we have a lane. Mainstream media with modern technology, like mainstream old school fake take sports media, plus modern technology has created an avenue for people in places like this, people like us in places like this. What's up, Sadiqa? Welcome in. I hope you've had a good week so far. I appreciate you being here. We checked the audio this time. You'll be happy to hear that. We had a big uh-oh last time for those of you who weren't here. But where was I? Oh. I think Bill does good work, but when it's your job as a national, he covers the entire National Football League, right? So when it's your job to know a little bit about a lot, when your umbrella is just cast so wide, when you're tasked with knowing a little bit about a lot, you can't possibly know a lot about the little things like this. The little things like giving a really high quality, a Pro Bowl caliber, captain caliber difference maker with the right pieces around him, of course, as everybody is, or not unlike most superstars. They always have their Robin, right? They need somebody to help them. The Cowboys are in a win it window right now, and they can't get rid of players like Kenny Clark. Difference making pieces who let's remember Quinnen Williams. Who did he say that he religiously and relentlessly studies and models his game after? Who did Quinnen Williams tell us before he ever played a down in Dallas that he studies and models his game after to this day? That's right, Sadika. Bingo. Kenneth, I'll get to that question in just a second, my brother. I promise you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, man. Let me just finish this thought really quickly, and I'll get to it. Sweet Zeke is here too. I see you, man. What's up? Cool. Let's have some fun, y'all. I said we go 30 minutes, but it took me 15 to really start talking. So we'll extend our window here, especially if y'all keep showing up. I appreciate it. The membership feature is active, by the way. I mentioned that in this morning's show, but we'll talk about that too a little bit at the end. We'll elaborate on what that means and what it's going to look like moving forward. It makes no sense. Okay, the compensation for one thing, you're out of touch with who Kenny Clark is as a player. Okay, you simply don't know. Much like I called Bill out on saying you don't know Quinnen Williams if you're suggesting that the Cowboys overpaid for his talents. Okay, you're out of touch because you're tasked. Bill in this case is tasked with too much. He can't possibly truly know every detail about every team, every trait or every characteristic or every statistic about every player. It is not possible. That's why people like me, people like us, places like this exist. Because we are the bridge between diehard fans, the 21 of you, and hopefully counting that are in here right now, 95,000 more across all social media platforms here, pushing to 10K on this platform, on YouTube alone. You guys are going to help me do it. I know it's going to happen right before our eyes and very quickly. I have no doubts about it because this community is powerful. It's awesome. Places like this bridge the gap between the true fan that deserves the truth and old school mainstream sports media. We are the bridge. People like Bill Barnwell have a very significant role, a role that needs to be filled, an important role in sports media. He has a very important job, and he's pretty dang good at it. This article was horrific in a lot of ways, but he's good at what he does, and what he does is necessary. But we are the bridge. We are the people that are in the weeds. Us, you and me. Botch in his community, a Crown Global Media. Foots in his community, killing the draft coverage right now. Skywalker Steel. Talk about production. Woo-wee. That's levels that most people will never even think about getting to. His production level. He is the gold standard, by the way, for production and analysis. Nobody does it like Steel. Nobody. Absolutely, Sadiqa. You do. You have to take Bill's wording with a grain of salt. No question about it. But okay, so here's the kicker, and I hope we all understand where I'm coming from, right? This is bullet point number 3 in my initial response when I saw this hypothetical trade that he proposed. Kenny Clark goes to the Bengals plus a 7th round pick next year. Not even this year, right? Next year. Cowboys receive a next year's 6th round draft pick. So it's just a late round pick swap, and then Kenny Clark goes. All just to clear the cap. $21 million. Like that's supposed to matter to us here who know, A, that the Cowboys are actually trying to go for it and don't have time to wait on dart throws to either not bust or develop, neither of which they have time or resources for. So screw the picks, get the proven player, and get on with your life. Let's go, Kenneth. The first official member from my, as far as I'm concerned, I could be wrong. The first official member. And let's go. We got labbers and lifers. It's on there. You guys will see exactly what he's referring to, but that's the next step, man. God's told me what to do. I prayed long and hard about it, and have kind of honestly put it off for way too long. But I know that my time is a valuable thing, man, and it's time to start letting the fruits of my labor really, really take off for my family. They deserve it, right? So I really appreciate you, Kenneth. Thank you, man. It's been a really cool journey, y'all. Seriously, one day we'll unpack it all, and hopefully, I'll get a chance to shake the hand of each and every single one of you in person. That day will probably come, I imagine. But wild ride, a wild ride indeed. Thank you, Kenneth. Hold up, this one deserves one of those.
Yeah! What? Okay!
Man, I haven't done that in a while. That felt good. That's cool. Good stuff, man. Thank you, Kenneth. Seriously. All right. So let me get back to your question that you had a second ago. How would you feel if best possible player on the board was offense, but we desperately needed defense? Do we do the CD Lamb thing again, or do we really try to shore up the weakest link? Great question. Fantastic question. I'm going to try to answer it simply because I do want to get to the punchline. Number 3 on Kenneth Clark, or on Kenny Clark, my initial response. I'll just do that right now and then I'll answer your question. The punchline is for Bill Barnwell, okay? If nothing else were true, okay, wipe the slate clean. This is all you need to know. You think the Cowboys would ship off the guy they just traded Micah Parsons for less than 1 year into that decision? You really think for a second that Jerry Jones would allow that to happen? Like, we are famous here for, or we try to be as open as possible about how he is not captaining that ship, right? He's got very little to do with the team building decisions that are made. He's just the salesman. He's the businessman, right? He knows football, of course. He loves it, of course. But he's not the sole pilot in that cockpit. He's not even the second. Shotty may have a case to make him not even the third right now, if we're being honest about the whole thing. Shotty's master list, by the way, if you haven't checked that one out, strongly recommend. From about 2 weeks ago. It's on my channel if you'd like to go look for it. It's there. The punchline, though, right? Does that make sense with y'all? Am I crazy there? Sadiqa is number 2. Let's go, man. Ooh. She's been, if y'all don't know who Sadiqa is, you should. And how do you not? Those are my first 2 statement and questions. But she's been one of the day one supporters of this platform and super vocal behind the scenes, just voicing her support for what we do, our process here, and those types of things. So that, honestly, Sadiqa, I'm not surprised. I thought you might be the first official labber. In my head, like when I was going live, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about you. But you've been helpful in more ways than you might imagine, I would say, especially in recent months, in the last year or so. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much. One more time. Why not, right?
Yeah! What? Okay!
All right, so now to this fantastic question right here from Labber number 1. officially, I believe. I'll double check that to make sure that's right, but I think that is the case. Hey, Lando, how would you feel if best possible player on the board was offense, but we desperately needed defense? Do we do the CeeDee Lamb thing, which he's referring to? CeeDee Lamb wasn't supposed to be there. He ended up being there. The Cowboys thought they already, they had just recently invested in or spent a first round draft pick to invest in Amari Cooper, and things went very well that season. They also had Michael Gallup supplementing that talent. It was a high octane offense already in that 2019 campaign. And then in 2020, they took CeeDee Lamb and doubled down on it. It'd be like this year. Well, I think that one actually speaks for itself. It'd be like this year if they went ahead and just gave George Pickens whatever the heck he wants, because the salary cap doesn't. Cap hell is a myth. All right. Hopefully, I know you guys know what I mean when I say that. And if I have to elaborate, I will. But I don't expect to see, hey, Lando, can you please elaborate on what you mean by that in the chat? I don't expect to see that at all because I know you guys understand. That's why you're here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't get that part. Trust me. In my mind, Kenneth, to answer your question directly, nothing is off the table, really. I know that's going to sound crazy. But you should be, for this team right here that has leveraged everything with this win at window, marrying themselves with cornerstone pieces all extended throughout the same time frame. Of course, I'm referring to Dak and CD. They made the decision like, hey, boom, this is our duo. Now we go. Okay, 3 years to recoup from the big dip when there was no butts in seats during the COVID year. All right, we balanced out that balance sheet a little bit. Now it's time now we can start to be a little bit more aggressive. So all in on a window back in 2024. Then selectively aggressive. And now busting the budget. Why? Why are they saying that? Why are we still one of the few? More people have come around and are with us. They're walking this walk now. Our mindset, our thought process, the one we forecasted months ago. Dang, man, they dancing a little different these days. This is what is going on? And I'm seeing, just to be real keep it real with y'all real quick. And I'm never trying to ruffle anybody's feathers, but there are highly tenured, highly credentialed members of Cowboys media who are still saying the first sign of, I'm not going to name names. You guys can figure it out for yourselves or just, imagine, use your imagination. But they're still suggesting that the first signal of change for this organization under this regime with Brian Schottenheimer in charge, at the helm, I should say, that the first sign of change was when they brought Christian Parker in to be the DC. Hold on one second, though. Before I finish that thought, I got to say what's up to my man right here, Ray GQ. I've been wanting to do some collaborative work with this dude for a long time. He's I would call somebody that I would call a fantasy guru. His platform will speak for himself. Y'all check out my guy, Ray GQ, on YouTube. And Ray, let them know real quick. You have full permission. I implore you strongly to let people know what your channel is called, man, because more people need to know who you are in this community. Is a Cowboys fan at heart. I haven't listened to you in quite some time. The last 2 years now, I've really caught most of your stuff, like in the summertime leading up to the season. And in the season, things obviously get busy with work and with kids and whatnot. But Ray is one of the realest one of the realest analysts in the fantasy and also Cowboys space that I've come across, and I have a lot of immense amounts of respect for him. And the fact that I can sit here and tell you, and he'll, God as our witness, I have requested behind the scenes, I believe more than one time, to do some work with him to get some stuff. Like, we got to get something on the calendar. I would love to just like barroom talk, just sit like as if we're sitting on the 50-yard line watching a game. What are we talking about? Like, that's how I envision our first collaborative effort to be. It's cool to see you here, man. I haven't tapped into one of your shows in quite some time, but I hope things are going well. I know you had a family related situation recently. That was the last time I reached out. I hope everything is still going well there, but thank you for being here, brother. Seriously. Life is crazy. That's no doubt about that. Fast lane living. Yeah, you know what? Ray's too humble. I'm telling y'all, this is real. This is the real deal now. Um, he's too humble to tell you his handle, but I'm gonna do it for him. It's Destination Devi, am I right, Ray? Yeah, I believe that's the case. Yeah, so he has a retweet from February 16th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive that's it. Destination Devi. I'm gonna put it in the chat real quick so y'all can type it in. Make sure I'm not crazy. Okay, there we go. Thought that sounded weird. All right, because I think it used to be Destination Devi, and then y'all had a little bit of a switch. Y'all changed something up. Yeah, yeah. Okay, just Ray GQ as you see it right there. Really, like, we talk about Sky's production, the production value. I don't know if he has Ray. I honestly have no idea. I don't know if y'all have a producer. I don't know if you're producing live. I don't know if you're. I forget what your partner's name is. Forgive me for that as well. I don't know if he's doing it, but okay. Yeah, so he's got two channels. That's all right. I knew there was something little something going on there, but that's cool, man. You do great work. I have a lot of admiration and respect for the work that you do. So just know that. I know you know, but now you really know. Um, the production value, you guys will appreciate it, hopefully as much as I do, because it's good. It's good stuff. It's Sky-esque, I would venture to say. Um, all right, so where were we? Yeah, that's going to be a good presser, Sadika. I can't wait for that as well. So he says, okay, let me get back to Ray's initial question. I see Sammy. Sammy Nate says Jerry Jones need to go. I got bad news for you, Sammy. Ray says, listen, love the idea of Jamal McCoy, but I really don't want them using a first at a cornerback coming up. Dude, so, okay, I trust me. When I saw out of my peripheral before I freaked out and saw your name and went off on a tangent there for a second, I saw Jermod McCoy, and I knew in the back of my mind that you were going to be mentioning that, let's call it PTSD with injuries at the cornerback position, premium capital in recent years. Right? That's what happened with Savone Revel Jr. last year. A little bit of a mishap, the initial reports was going to be fine for camp. That turned out obviously not to be the case. There was rumored to be at least one setback. And then, by the time he makes his debut, it's like 3 games in 12-day stretch or whatever the case was, right? In that Thursday to Thursday 3-game series right there in the middle of the season. It was Chiefs like on Thanksgiving, and then whatever the schedule was. I don't know off top, but Savone Revel Jr. makes his NFL debut right around that time frame. He's got a big knee brace on, and by that point, it's very clear to me. I actually just mentioned this to somebody. I think it was Who did I just say that to? Tuck on Twitter. Very clear. Dude's quit. Dude's quit on Flus. Them dudes quit on Flus, man. And so he's playing in the midst of all that, not trusting himself, playing with a bulky brace on, just rookie, just, you know, bug eyes out there trying to slow the game down and just take a deep breath. Dude doesn't even trust his body yet. His teammates don't even trust the coach yet, or they don't anymore. And he's out there trying to ball with a brace for the first time in his life. It's got to feel weird. Any judgments or reservations about Savon Revel Jr., in my opinion, are at this point, right? And this is not directed at Ray whatsoever, because I'm saying I agree with that. I knew he was going to suggest that because that's where I initially was. Right. But Jeremiah McCoy aside, let's set him to the side for just a second. Just speaking specifically about Savon Revel Jr. His situation is not definite. It's not definitive. His rookie campaign, that is not the determining factor of who he will be. Who he was is not who he is and will be. I believe that firmly. Oh, no. Hey, Kenneth, I remember that, first of all. There's no bad blood whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I think I've referred to Fish. So we sort of collaborated on the 7 simple steps to the Cowboys printing money towards an aggressive free agency this year, right? And I used he wrote it up like it was on his Substack. Cowboys Roundtable, I believe is what he calls it. But it was his little excerpt, 7 simple steps, right? Kind of sort of detailing how the cap is, things that we do here all the time, right? Manipulate the cap hell is a myth, restructure, potential, extensions, those types of things, right? How do you create money? How do we free it up? What do we do? Who do we trust? Who do we want here long term? He and I still regularly reach out to him. He was one of the ones who took me under his wing. What Kenneth is referring to, early on, about 4 years ago, like my first year in sports media, I had no idea what I was doing. I was recording truck talks. Truck talks were the first video on my YouTube platform here. It's disturbing. It is, honestly, it's one of those things, like, it's horrible. The quality. I'm recording while driving from a phone that's mounted in my truck. So not only can you hear the road noise in the background, the camera shakes the whole time while I'm driving. And you can hear the rattle of the mount that the phone was sitting on while I'm talking the entire time. But so that just goes to illustrate how far we've come in this, there's so much going on. Like we got two labbers in here now who can attest, who have seen exactly what I'm referring to. But I'm just so proud of where we've been, the lessons that we've learned, and where I see this community going in the very, very near future. Thoughts on trading for Crosby and signing Hendrickson? Okay, that's a good pivot. I like this. Fisher and I are good. Finish that thought. It's just time wasn't my friend. We did literally. We had a phone call. We agreed. We said we love each other's work. We respect each other. So he's hired me 2 different times. One for work for him, contributing to his YouTube channel. I let him down because I didn't commit. I wasn't 100% in on, like, okay, I'm helping you to do this. And it's for a good cause. I'm glad I didn't now, because now, the reason for our second split was he was going through a transition phase, and I was wanting to just really take this seriously, like build this and just take off. So that's been up about a year ago. We've really considered this my full time job for 2.5 years, probably, I would say, where like considered it my full time job for about 2.5 years, really disciplined myself towards, okay, here are some non negotiable things that have to happen. Here's our 5 year projection, our plan of what we want to be, right? Really sitting down, buttoning myself up and like treating it like a job. Whereas I'm judge and jury of myself because it is my own business. But it was all the point. It was all an attempt to just, I can't give my kids everything they need, my wife everything she needs, and then 20% to what I've built for the last 4 or 5 years or so, right? Because it's taken me forever to build this platform. I'm just now taking YouTube seriously, but this is 5 years in the making, right? And so Fish caught me early on. And I was too young, dumb, and stupid to know what he was presenting me with. The opportunities that were afforded to me then, I fumbled that bag because I didn't know better. And honestly, he didn't either. I don't think he knew what he was doing really at the time. As far as like YouTube and hiring people to contribute to his platform and outsourcing work. Right? We're all kind of learning on the fly. So that happened. But the second time is he's going through a transition phase. I am really just focusing on us, like this platform. That's it. So we're all good, man. So Zach says, yeah, and I realized too, Sadiqa says Law taught Fish the ropes on how to run YouTube. He did. He absolutely did. And Law has been a huge, huge, huge resource for me in getting to this point today. I am nowhere without that man. That much I will say. But Fish lifted me up. He was the first aha moment, like, okay, I can do this. I can take this seriously. But Law, ever since then, he's an elevator. He lifts people up. He's not shy about rising tide raises all boats. We are on great terms. We've been trying to find a time for me to get into his studio during the week. Right now, it can't happen because I have my son with me full time until he's 9 months old. And I say full time, like during the day, I'm with my son. I'm dad in the daytime, and I'm sports media content producer in the evening, or round the clock, right? That's my full-time job. But we've been working on ways to get together and make some stuff happen. And we've teamed up on some projects and things in the past, and it's worked well, and I'm excited about what's to come. But yes, mad respect to Law for he's he might be the real trailblazer, the official GOAT of Cowboys YouTube. That's debatable. Anyway, love all those guys, man. It's such a cool thing. What I want to read something to you real fast, actually. Because Tuck said this and Vach chimed in, and I saw Vach's comment. That's what alerted me to this discussion or this interaction. And I just couldn't agree more. Or was it? Him and Vach had an exchange. Let me see. Hold on one second. I don't think Vach tweets as much as as Tuck does. So I'm gonna go check his page because I believe I can find it quicker on that one. Okay, right here. So Jay Tuck, 16 hours ago. People will say, in quotations, Let me share this. This deserves the this deserves the full effect. We gotta have visuals here. Production value increasing for Taco. There we go. Look at me. And actually, on that note, real quick, I'm gonna let this marinate. I'm gonna go. I need to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Shades of blue. By the way, I realized I never did finish my thought earlier what my Eagles. I just looked down at my phone and I saw it. My Eagles buddy said about Bill Barnwell's article, just to give you guys a taste of we're not the only ones who feel or felt some type of way about his hypothetical trade, as ridiculous as it is. He said, boy, did he. So my initial. I said, just read Bill Barnwell if you want to see exactly what not to say about the Dallas Cowboys. That was my message. His response, his name is Chris, diehard Eagles fan, born in Philadelphia, raised there until he was, I believe, 8 years old, and then he's been in KFW ever since. Boy, did he cook up a load of dog water with his last article. Bruh had us bringing back Riley Moss in an AJB trade with Denver. Like, yeah, man, we're certainly looking to add a corner who is extension eligible with 2 supernovas due for deals next year. Dipstick F. So, needless to say, it goes without saying, Bill Barnwell pulled a few things out of his rear end and just made a lot of people laugh in the process, apparently, and joke and make fun of and get triggered and et cetera, et cetera. All right, so to Tuck, people say these content creators, in quotations, right, as a way to discredit them. Nah, we was just the Netflix of sports media. Now look around. Your, quote, insiders are now also on YouTube posting TikToks. It's an even playing field now, and the NFL is taking notice. Last week was the evidence, #new media. And he's got a picture of him here with, I believe that is that Nicole Dean? I don't know who that is. I swear that's. I don't know. Y'all tell me who that is. But he's got, there's Dez. And then he's got John Gruden. Just some cool, some pretty impactful people. Kay Adams as well. So, he's trying to suggest what we alluded to at the beginning, where we talk about, all right, there's a place for people like us and for places like this, because sorry, I was just reading some of the comments up here. We're in the weeds, and so we have nuanced details and opinions to creatively convey for the sports below the surface truth for the true fan, right? And so Vach says this, right? So in other words, Vach is saying, all right, screw, because he's right. People will say, and I get comments like this all the time. He's speaking on behalf of us, of everyone. It's very relatable. People will say these content creators as a way to discredit you. Vach's reply, especially in the Cowboys media world, where you're surrounded by big dogs, it's tough for anybody to make a name for themselves. So it's more special when I see one of my peers actually doing it. Shouts out to those who embrace us. Shouts out Shouts out to the skeptics. Shouts out to those that are next up. Cool stuff is happening. Vach is a trailblazing example of cool stuff is happening. Look what he's done. Look who he works with. Employed by Jerry Jones himself. Started here with the things that we're doing right now. Just being himself, being real. Even the creative and objective sports below the surface truth. But in his own Vach way. His entertainment value is off the charts. But he's on point with his analysis and his knowledge, his understanding of football. What wins? We can't measure that what's between the ears of the athlete very well. S2 cognition test is coming. And get a decent feel for what guys, the way that they think by asking them questions in the meeting rooms and your pre-draft 30 visits and such. But you can't ever truly, accurately grade in detail how much each individual dude loves football. How much do you love ball? Well, who's the true person behind the player? You can't gauge that. So why would a team that's all in on the win it window give up good players for a third round pick swap dart throw? What good does that do you? To save $20 million when it doesn't matter anyway if you're actually trying to win? Give Kenny Clark a 2-year extension. Make the numbers work. Watch magic happen. Watch accounting happen. You can very easily get that. He has zero guarantee money left. $21 million cap hit. If you ask him to completely rework his deal, take a pay cut, the Cowboys keep him, it's $20 million on the salary cap as of right now. If they cut him, it's zero. No dead money lost. Nothing gone because he's not owed anything else. He's out of guaranteed money. I'll show it to you. Because that's how we do it. Once again, I am not. They ain't paying me to say this. I wish they would. I wish they should. With Spotrac, I cannot do what I do without their service. So Kenny Clark, Spotrac. Thank you, Spotrac. Spotrac. I gotta figure that out. I've always said it a variety of ways, depending on the day. But yeah. Is the right tab? I think that's the right tab. So here we go. You see that right there, okay? We got a bunch of numbers, okay? And I realize this can look very overwhelming to the new or casual observer, okay? Spottrack.com. You see all this. 3 years, $64 million. Average salary, $21.3333 million. Signing bonus, 17.5. Guaranteed at signing, 17.5. Total guarantee, 17.5. Free agent in 2028. And then you've got the year, the age, the base salary, the signing proration, the restructure proration, the roster bonus, the active game bonus, the workout bonus, the cap hit, the cap percentage, and the dead cap. All completely covered and detailed in one row. How in the heck do you know what the hell's going on? I'm about to tell you. Okay? Well, listen. You see this figure right here. 2026. Okay? He's 31 years old. Base salary, kind of irrelevant. Don't really worry about that right now. Okay? We're going to disregard that. All we're going to look at is this big, handsome looking number right here. Hefty $21.5 million. That's the cap hit for this season if he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Then you scroll over, right over here to this little dead cap column. Okay? See where it says dead cap, where my cursor is? And you see a big nothing burger right here. Okay? a little hyphen right next to the red scissors. Okay. If the Cowboys were to cut him, they have so like what this would suggest, they have not restructured and delayed money into the future. He has simply run out of guarantees. That's all this is suggesting. That's all that we're focusing on. If the Cowboys keep him, he's on the books for $21 million. If they change nothing with his contract, he plays for them in 2026 alongside Quentin Williams and also Diggy, that's how much he's accounted. That's how much they're going to, that's how much they are, indicating that he is being paid for this calendar season just on the salary cap situation alone. It has nothing to do with cash in his pocket. In this case, it actually directly does, because he's getting active bonuses and things, but he's out of guarantees. So if the Cowboys were to cut him, he doesn't cost them anything because they haven't delayed anything into the future. He's simply run out of guarantees. And that's the case because you see right here, the dead cap in 2024, that's when most of his guarantees triggered for the Packers. And that cleared it all up. So it's all gone after that point. So that's what you can see this highlighted here. The potential out 2026 from Spot Track specifically. You technically save $31 million. But you have zero dead cap responsibility left. Because you could cut him just to save the money. All right, but here's the thing. Why are we saving the money just to save the money? Because that's actually not what we're doing. We're saving the money to get rid of a good player that you can't easily replace, especially at that position. It takes a long time. So what you do is you keep the good player because you are operating within the win it window. That's the things like that we know that Bill Barnwell clearly doesn't. He doesn't understand the different signals of change that we've tracked and the commitments that they've made to the integral parts of this team to actually go for it, where they have stability in the right places. Offensive line, you've got an all-pro player and a first-round draft pick that's playing like one. Then you've got a quarterback that speaks for itself. One of the dudes in the league with the respect that he commands. You've got two perennial all-pro receivers. You will, and that's how we're going to close this discussion about George Pickens, because it's on the thumbnail. And then you've got the cornerstone player, the focal point of your defense for the next 3 years and change, at least, because they're going to hopefully extend Quentin Williams as well. And that's the next project that we're working on behind the scenes already. You've paid what you think is a decent outside corner in Deron Bland, maybe a little bit of nickel versatility if you need. You spent what you thought was a premium capital on a even more premium talent in Savon Revel Jr. You're anticipating a huge boost. Remember what we talked about earlier. Not trusting his knee, okay? Playing in I believe his first 3 games were in that 12-day stretch. Playing, not trusting his knee, playing with teammates that didn't trust or respect the defensive coordinator anymore, and playing with a big, bulky knee brace for the first time. While you're like we talked about, bug-eyed, trying to figure out how to get the game to slow the heck down. But we're judging him off that as if he's some bust, with the circumstances that we know exist and that existed with his situation. Okay, so you've done things. You've got key contributors in the right areas, and you've got them all, compensated accordingly. Suggesting, hey, okay, we're already very invested here, multiple spots on both sides of the ball. We're actually trying to freaking do this thing. We have the best offense, arguably, in the entire National Football League. What's more likely? Every single one of those players that we just talked about on the defense was terrible or just magically got way worse, especially the ones that are highly compensated. People like Deron Bland, who we've seen be one of the best in the league for an entire year and change. We've seen him at his peak. So what's more likely? All those guys just magically just go take 10 steps back at the same time? Or they didn't trust, or had no idea what was going on with the defensive coordinator? Which one's more likely? The silence is deafening on that one, I think. Just in my own head. I just felt good saying that, you know? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying half the time. That's not true, obviously, but you extend Kenny Clark, pay him a little bit of money. You guarantee him beyond what he currently has, which technically today for 2026 for his family just recently uprooted him, his wife, and I believe his two kids. I can't remember if he has two daughters. I know he has at least one daughter. His family just, career up in Green Bay. Spent his entire career there up until the last season. Uproots, removes his family situation with a young daughter, at least one. Moves to Dallas. But now he's fresh out of guarantees. He's 31 years old. It's about to be the last time he's probably ever going to have a legitimate case, a legitimate seat at the table at the negotiating table for life-changing money, for potentially multi-generational money. He has no guarantees right now. Technically has no idea what his market is. Because he's not supposed to be communicating with other teams. His agent probably is. We all know tampering is real and it's inevitable, but no guarantees this year. You might be able to pretty easily convince him to play alongside Quinnen Williams, do so at a discount. Or at the very least, just have plenty of momentum or leverage to say, hey, man, listen, you just work with us just a little bit, and we'll guarantee you each of the next couple years, at least, maybe 3. So you're guaranteed to take home a few million, no matter what. But if you're healthy, just play 60% or more of the games in each of the next 2 seasons. Right, structure it however you want. I don't care. I'm just getting creative here, getting crafty with the contracts and stuff, right? There's always ways around it. That's what I'm trying to suggest. You figure it out. But you can't figure it out if you don't know what your commodities are. If you don't know who your assets are. If you're sitting here telling me about a future 6th-round draft pick, what does that do for me in 2026? What does it do for me in 2027? 2028, or even at all? What does it do for me? We don't know. We can measure all the physical stuff. We know what they're capable of physically, athletically. But how are they as professionals inside their mind, between their ears, right here? Do they have it? We know that Kenny Clark has it. Why are we trying to trade him away? What are we doing? Bill Barnwell? Come on, bro. Think. It's not his fault, right? He's got a tough job. If you're tasked with knowing a little bit about a lot, you damn sure don't know a lot about the minute little details, do you? Do you? I don't think you do.
Damn!
I really don't. That's just me. Let's talk about George Pickens. Get up out of here. Shouldn't take too long, man. I really. So the smear campaign, right? I want to address that. It's kind of a weird topic. I don't know. Let me make sure I address my specific intentions with what I said right here. So Dove Kleeman says, oh boy, Cowboys reportedly fined star wide receiver George Pickens multiple times last season, per Todd Archer. Pickens is the name to watch this offseason. So I first need to make sure and address what Todd actually said. Okay, so this is how you know Dove Kleeman did some irresponsible journalism here and sent, the digital sports media world into a frenzy because he twisted Todd Archer's original words to making it seem as if he was saying that George Pickens was fined multiple times throughout the season, like just this horrible behavior, guy that you can't trust, sort of piggybacking off of the narrative surrounding Pickens and his time coming like in the transition from Pittsburgh to Dallas. We accurately projected, we speculated, we hypothesized at the time, right here with your guy Nix. When the news broke, we hopped on, talked about it for almost 2 hours. And then the ensuing days, our thought process here as the human element of sport, attentive, the people that we are here. What if this just starts, suggesting, hypothesizing, what if this dude just really loves football? Anybody ever think about that? Ever cross anybody's mind? You think he might just be fed up with watching footballs haphazardly fly in his direction off the wings, the wounded duck wings of guys like Justin Fields, Kenny Two Gloves Pickett, Mason Rudolph, competent player, smart player, but a perennial backup. And way past his prime, Russell Wilson, who was a walking meme in his time there. You think George Pickens might have been fed up with that? You think that might have been the reason for some of his frustration? We know now. We hypothesized it then. We know now. Do you think that might have been some of the reason for it? I'd be a little frustrated too if I were him. If deep down I knew I'm 30 million APY guy, but I got two gloves, Justin Fields, way past his prime, Russell Wilson and Mason Rudolph throwing me the football. I'm mad too. If I'm this type of talent. You kidding me? So he tries to spin this from Todd Archer as if Todd is suggesting that he was fined throughout the season, right? So this is just get people to freak out and be in a frenzy, okay? There's two very specific sides here that I want y'all to consider, right? So I hope y'all are paying attention because this is sincere stuff.
Guys,
I'm very passionate about it, because it's real in a lot of ways, okay? But here's the thing, okay? Step by step. Dove Kleeman says, oh boy, the Cowboys reportedly fined star wide receiver George Pickens multiple times last season per Todd Archer. What Todd actually said was multiple sources indicated to him that George Pickens was fined by the Cowboys last season. Still not confirmed, by the way. We know that he was. We can safely brainstorm that, like, oh yeah, duh. He sat out the first half, or the first opening drive with CeeDee Lamb in the Raiders game. That makes sense. He sat out on national television. Both guys are over there, like two little accomplices that just got in trouble in school, right? Like just standing over there with their helmets, I think George had his off and CD had his on, or maybe vice versa. I don't remember. But yeah, it was embarrassing. It was almost like it was glorified scaffolding from back in the day, right? If you messed up in the old days, you used to just like, I think it was for women actually. The Scarlet Letter, I think that's what that was about, right? Where they talked about, or she was up there on the scaffold as a form of public shame and embarrassment, right? Snap you into shape so you don't have to be publicly ridiculed again. You're always under the microscope in Dallas, but I think Shoddy handled it the right way. I love that entire interaction. I love the message he was sending. Nobody's immune or above the culture here, right? We have a standard. We will adhere to it, or you will pay the price. I love it. But Todd didn't say what Dove Kleeman reported here. And so part of this is on me, right? I should have been more specific. I should have been more clear, but I said in response to it, here's my initial reaction. This is once again off on a whim. I didn't take a few seconds to decompress and take a couple deep breaths like I should have. But I said, y'all see the public pandering and reckless speculation start to run wild with Pickens. Like I'm saying from this is the context there, or the tone that I said it from. Like, y'all see that? Y'all see the public pandering and reckless speculation start to run wild with Pickens? Y'all see it? Y'all paying attention? That was my energy right there. Okay. Following, moreover, they're negotiating via the media. Let me let y'all read this. I just realized you can't read it. Anybody wants to see it, you can see it now. There you go. Y'all see the public pandering and reckless speculation, right? Y'all see that, right? With George Pickens. They're negotiating via the media, and most of the media doesn't know the entire story. So that right there, that line was a direct dig at Dove, who is known for doing this stuff. It's a big part of his platform, I think. I try not to pay attention to him, but once again, like I said, this one got me. He reeled me in, and because I'm obviously passionate about it. It's a big deal. It matters to me. It's important, I think, to be clear about this type of stuff. They're negotiating via the media. Most of the media doesn't know the entire story. So the back half of that sentence right there is a direct dig at him. I'm saying, I know he's twisting this intentionally. Okay. So I know how he operates. That was that part, that back half portion. But the initial part, they're negotiating. That's the controversial piece. They are negotiating via the media now. They, as in, the Cowboys or just somebody on Jerry's payroll, on his Rolodex, like, hey man, go float this out here. Let's just start to chum the waters right now. Do they publicly pander amidst these types of contract negotiation situations? You bet every single dollar that you've ever made, they do. Bet the mortgage on it. Bet the kids' IRAs on it. Bet the college fund on it. Take it to the bank, sign it, seal it, and deliver it to the teller. You bet your little bottom they do, okay? Now, it turns out that obviously wasn't Todd Archer's approach. That was not his intent. Okay. People say, well, the Cowboys have, you're wrong. They can't possibly, they're not public pandering. This isn't a public shaming act. This isn't, what do you call it? I don't know. Somebody help me out. When you try to sell somebody out, right? Try to expose them or whatever. Like, this isn't that. But the Joneses can say one thing, and that's kind of the whole point. When they negotiate via the media, what they say, when they say things like they got George's back, when Jerry goes out and says things like, I can't wait to make him a Dallas Cowboy for a very long time. But then stuff like this, I'm not saying the Cowboys specifically did this, but somebody kind of they publicly pander. They negotiate via the media all the time. Okay. Not Todd Archer's intentions here, but you can bet that somebody is out there already plotting like the Cowboys version of their leverage against George Pickens. It's just the way it works, guys. There's no avoiding it. All three sides of these types of negotiations. So the player side, of course, the organization side, and then the agent side. They all have to sort of publicly posture themselves. And it's like a little jousting match, right? And by the way, this is going to get ugly. Like it's going to get recklessly speculative. It's going to get drawn out for a little while. I think most likely it's going to take some time, but hopefully they do it sooner rather than later so that we know how serious they are about, all right, doesn't really matter. We're all the way in at this point. We're in this deep anyway. We might as well dive in the rest of the way head first. Let's just go, man. Let's see where this thing takes us. We're ready to go. We started when we brought in George Pickens the first time in the first place. That's premium draft capital for this organization, right? But then they doubled down on it at the halfway point when people said they were way too far gone. The defense was it's can't save it. It's a lost cause. Keep your draft picks, plan for the future, blow it all up. What'd they do? They did the opposite of what the general public, what mainstream media, what fake take people suggested that they do. They did exactly what we said would happen here. They continued their aggression. They weren't conservative. They weren't playing the long game and holding on to their draft capital for the future with uncertainties, holding on to uncertain future evaluation and development processes. Instead, they bet on, boom, what we know now. Let's go get it. The proven commodity, the difference maker. That's our guy. We don't have to develop him. We don't have to ask questions about who he is, what he does, his impact, his gravity. We already know. Why would they do that? And the master list goes on, by the way. There's countless other examples that we've tracked on this platform here to show you guys things like that where it's like, whoa, this is different now. Okay. Now people are finally starting to come along. And I'm glad to see that. I don't hold any ill will against, why or how it took people as long as it did to see what we see here. But that's a little sidebar there. But as for George Pickens, the negotiation starts, in my opinion, it's very, very simple. What's the franchise tag worth now? $28 million. Next year, what's it going to be worth? Assuming, let's just say he gets tagged and he plays on the tag. What's it worth the second time, in theory, hypothetically? 120% of the previous number. Okay, so we got 28 this year, 34 next year. Add them up and divide them by 2. What do you get? Double check my math here. 31, I believe, what the number was. I'm terrible at math if you can't tell. 28 plus 34, 62. Yeah, divided by 2. 31. That's a great point. By the way, Kenneth, for the longest time, Cowboys fans have said we need a personality on the sidelines like a Dez or an Odell. You don't need that, but like in this particular case, the guys who literally will do anything for the game of football because that's how much they love it, that's how much it matters to them. Guys like George Pickens, that's contagious in a professional locker room. Trust me, that stuff matters. It's very, very important. Just that competitive fire, man. It's a raging wildfire. But with George, a product of his environment, that's a great way to say it too. I agree. So the negotiation begins, in my opinion, at $31 million APY. If you're gonna pay him, like you got to pay him 28 million this year, anyways. Okay, do it. That's fine. You can afford it, whatever. But if you're gonna do it next year or this year, and then threaten it again next year, so either way, you're paying a fully guaranteed approximate value of between 28 and $34 million. The average of that is 31 for the next 2 years. Why not just do it now? But do that over a 4 year stretch. Avoid the headache. Win back some of the fan base in the process. And oh, by the way, take that cap hit in years 1 and 2 down from the alternative suggestion, which is franchise tagging twice. You bring the cap hit down from the alternate option of 28 and 34 respectively, fully guaranteed on your books. If you extend him, you give him 31 APY, which once again, the guarantees matter more than the APYs do. It's just to help us kind of process this. Okay. 31 over the next 4 years. But guess what? Years 1 and 2, he's a fraction of the years 1 and 2 cost if they were to let him play on the franchise tag. Because of void years, you tack on 2 void years. So in this case, an extension through, so a 4-year extension puts us 26, 27, 28, and 29. 2 void years puts us through the 2031 calendar year. You have the back 4 years of the aforementioned 6. Okay, so 28, 29, 30, 31. You've got 4 years to take, a pretty good chunk of that salary, that deferred money, and take that onto your salary cap situation. Defer as much as you want. Do it, structure it however you want in each of those successive years. But years 1 and 2, if you extend him, he's going to take that cap hit from 28 in year 1 in 2026 down to about, say, anywhere between 12 and 14. Year 2, you're going to take that $34 million cap hit anywhere, between 13 to 18 or whatever. Just, think about it. That's where it starts. It's fair for both sides. That puts you I know Jamar Chase is getting 40 a year. I know CD is getting 34 APY. Once again, the APY is completely irrelevant to a player's pockets, but it helps us paint the picture. So let's just do it for a second. Walk with me here. So let's call it 31 APY over the next 4 years. That puts him just ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown and just behind A.J. Brown for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he'd be the 7th highest paid receiver in the sport. Show you guys this chart once again from overthecap.com, who is in the second resource that I can't go without alongside Spot Track. That tab. Oh, there it is right there. It's hiding from me. Okay. So here's the that ad off there. Come on now. Here's the chart, the graph. You can just see sequential order, right? So George Pickens, the one thing I want you to notice here, though, well, if you're the Cowboys, it's just such a no-brainer. Okay, the money can always work. We just kind of walked through some of the ways in which that is the case. It would be the case in this scenario. But you fit George Pickens right there between A.J. Brown at $32 million a year and Amon-Ra St. Brown at $30 million a year. George Pickens is right there. But then you go over here and you scroll, or you just check out the age column, right? And you just see all these numbers, 26, 27, 27, 29, 26, 29, 27. And then it's everybody for the next 4 slots is between ages 27 and 31, right? Guys, just tell me what this says. How old is George Pickens? My man is 30 or is 24 years old, y'all. Sadika says if Jerry tags him, then it's only because the first talk wasn't agreed upon. But realize this: this is I think this is true. I agree with this. Dak and CD are talking to GP. Of course they are. Absolutely. And if they're not talking to him directly, we already know that they're talking to him through the media, right? What did Dak say about George just a few weeks ago? Or yeah, week and a half or so ago. Remember that whole discussion we had about George? Just further adds to why we feel great about him being here long term. Most of the time when there's big time contracts coming up like this, situations like this, where it's like long anticipated, highly explosive deals or negotiations for big deals, especially after what we just saw with Micah, the way that played out, it's going to be very, very testy, especially amongst the fan base. It's just the recent history there. The post traumatic stress is still looms. It's going to loom for a long time. It's going to hang over the heads of the fan base of the organization. But in anticipation of situations like these, when other players, other teammates of the player that's got a contract extension coming up, so in this case, George Pickens, right? They asked Dak about his upcoming money, his upcoming negotiation, his contract, his future with the Cowboys. Most of the time, especially buttoned up dudes like Dak would say, you ain't going to catch me slipping here. I'm not talking about another man's money. I'm going to let the business side play itself out, do whatever they got to do behind the scenes to make it work, figure it out. Like, just don't ask me those types of questions, right? Another man's money, it ain't my business. That's what happens most of the time. And we unpacked this on one of our shows recently, but and Sadika, that's kind of what I was getting at, by the way. And that's why I think you fit him in right there firmly in between those two guys at much less let's just say the market rate for the next guy up to get paid at that position. $40 million. That 31 looks pretty dang good APY next to what Jamar Chase just set the bar at, right? About $10 million a year cheaper APY, but especially in the first 2 years, it's pennies on that dollar because they can structure it with void years to make it fit and be no problem. We'll all sing Kumbaya when they start throwing a bunch of darts. I think I never finished my point, by the way, to Kenneth. And if I didn't, I'm going to do it right now. My thoughts on, I don't know if I ever did or not, your initial question about taking an offensive player. My fault on that. My general thoughts are right now, I'm open to just about anything because our feelings towards the team and the roster now they don't dictate what should happen on draft day. Like what we think are gaping holes right now shouldn't be by the time we actually get there because of what they should and, in my opinion, are going to do in free agency. Building their team accordingly and responsibly, aggressively, rounding out your roster, plugging some of those holes so that you don't end up in a Taco Charlton situation or a Mozzie Smith or a Tristan Hill or whatever situation where you feel like you got to take position X. You should never end up in that spot. This team famously did for far too long because they overvalued the unpredictability of the dart throw in the draft. and the comp pick formula, right? It was a cheap way to balance the books, the books after COVID took a huge hit into everybody's financial situation back in 2020. But they regrouped and they have a different thought process now, but it's all spearheaded by Brian Schottenheimer. But Sadiqa says, T. Sanders just now joining us. I haven't seen you say anything previously. If you have and I miss it, I apologize, but welcome in, man. Better late than never, absolutely. Okay, he's playing Madden, it sounds like. We trade Pickens and a pick. We trade Pickens and pick 20 for Crosby and get Tyreek as wide receiver 2. Okay, so here's my thing, right? And I like you thinking outside the box, and I think you're coming from a good place. Can I not just trade pick 20 for Max Crosby and call it good? Why would I willingly downgrade positions or downgrade at the receiver position? And yes, I said downgrade. Confidently, boldly, proudly. It just goes to show you what I think of George Pickens, but he still has stuff to prove, right? That's part of the point. Sadiqa made the point, like she provided the punchline. That's what I didn't say. I should have specified. With that 31 number, it makes a lot of sense in a lot of different ways for everybody. Because he really, truly only has had one great year. He's been good in a really bad situation. And what we know, like what we knew at the time when they traded for him, how much of a dude, how much of a dog he was. We knew. We do know. We can use our imagination as to what it would have looked like for the first 4 years of his career had he been in, anywhere but his situation up there in the NFC North, where they're trying to ball control and ground and pound people to death all the time with really below average quarterback play. George Pickens would certainly bring that to the table if he was having these conversations with the Joneses at the negotiating table, right? Of course he would. He should. That's what we did here. That was our pitch for George Pickens, right? In his favor at the time of the trade, right? That's what we did. But just in this case, man, let me keep the 24-year-old guy who we think might have best in the sport potential, but who we already know is very clearly an all-pro caliber player. No health issues, no off-the-field issues. We can send a message to our locker room. We're not going to, that's another thing, by the way. Coaching staff and most of the players, Dak included. If it doesn't go to show you, did I not finish that thought either? Goodness, guys, I'm sorry. I don't think I did. Dak, instead of, what's going on up here? Instead of Dak saying, ain't going to talk about another man's money, what did he say? He said, we got to find a way to get him here, to keep him here. Have to have him. It's an absolute must. Something to that tune. And it was like reaffirming multiple, like 2 or 3 times in the same sentence, like just to make sure we understood what he was saying, like how emphatic he was, where he ordinarily wouldn't be talking about another man's money on this side because of who George Pickens is as a person, right? We know that report wasn't intended from Todd Archer to be degrading, but our premise of saying that was we do have to watch out for these things because people do that. It does happen, and it will happen, most likely. But just keep your eyes open. Trust your sources, right? Do your research. Know who you're getting your information from. But Dak knows about the person. Shoddy knows about the person. CD knows about the person. They love him as a teammate in the locker room. He is a galvanizing personality. On the field, he is a enforcer. He brings the dog. I appreciate you, T. He says you're not wrong, Lando. So I'm keeping George in your situation, right? But Dak is telling us, listen, he's blatantly saying it. Dak's secret message. Maybe that'll be a specific project all by itself. Just 10 minutes. Just refresh everybody's memory. How much I believe in the importance of that. It's simple. It's subtle, right? But to me, it's real. Tea leaves, breadcrumbs, due diligence, right? That's all we try to do here. Yeah, everybody's behind him. That entire locker room, coaches and players alike, would riot if he's not brought back. Remember, the indications were when they got ahead of this a week ago and leaked that they should, a week before they had to announce anything, right? Today's the official day to be where you can officially franchise tag and transition tag players. 7 days in advance before they had to say anything, they started to leak the information out that, hey, yeah, the plan, and it's obvious. It was not like any breaking news. It wasn't news at all, but just affirmations, positive affirmations. And then Jerry doubling down with his word, his interview with, he had to sit down with somebody. It was Nick Harris and a couple others, but he's talking about can't wait to bring GP back. And you notice this offseason, Jerry's been pretty quiet because he knows what's about to come. This is the punchline. We'll end with this. Jerry knows what's about to happen. We've been tracking for a few weeks, few months now. Where's he been? Awfully quiet for Mr. Headline creation, master manipulator, snake oil salesman, brilliant businessman, Jerry Jones that he is. He's made a public appearance, 2 times? Even his most recent, his exchange with members of Cowboys media that went viral, that went rampant, especially credit to Nick Harris for his piece that he put out on the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. That wasn't a public event. Nobody knew about it until Nick starts to tweet and say, hey, I had to sit down with Jerry Jones. Here's what I learned. Here's what I wrote. Dang. So that old man really is sticking and moving behind the scenes. What's going on? It's because of everything that we've tried to tell you guys for so long. Why is he quiet? Because he doesn't have to create headlines. He knows what he's about to do is going to do that for him. He doesn't have to fabricate stuff. He doesn't have to talk. He's moving differently because of Shotty's influence. He's blatantly telling us, can't wait. I look forward to having George Pickens here for a very long time. I appreciate you, T. 20 for Crosby, I'm in. Sign me up right now. I don't care. We could have that discussion at 12. I'd listen. Unless I know I'm walking away from, say, Caleb Downs, I probably sleep pretty good at night knowing that I traded, regardless of what anybody thinks about any player. And I do think that Caleb Downs is by far the safest. One of the more can't miss prospects that I can ever recall having opinions of. But at the end of the day, we still don't know. We don't know anything about what's going to happen with any of those players in the future. We got no idea. It's anybody's guess. We can make great inferences. We can take great notes. We can do our homework, study the player, talk to him, try to get inside the mind of the athlete, try to peel back that onion and see who the person is behind the player, but we don't know. Max Crosby? I think I know a little bit about Max Crosby, don't you? What's up, Dan? I see you, man. Thanks for being here. We're just wrapping up, man. This is the outro. That stuff you're talking about right there, DC coach, and let Christian Parker bring in his own staff and such, right? Having his tailor-made board of constituents around him. Yeah, it's a great sign. It's a great signal. Tells you what's about to happen, doesn't it? But that still wasn't the first list. It wasn't the first piece of evidence. It wasn't the first brick. And this foundation that's now been laid. That was just one of the two most recent pieces of evidence that continued, that bolstered our case, the case we've been making here. The soon to be 8,000 right here on YouTube at the Lando Show, 95,000 across all socials. Really proud to say that, man. It's been a great ride. It really has. Anyway, we're almost 2 hours now. I said 30 minutes. That just goes to show y'all how much I love you, how much I appreciate you, how much fun I have doing this. I need to go check on the fam and make sure everybody's good. I'm getting out of here right now. Hit that subscribe button for me. Consider becoming a member. Lifers and Labbers, there's 2 tiers right now. We'll unpack some more of that maybe tomorrow. I think we'll plan on doing that. All right. But leave in the comments what you need answered further, more elaborate responses to anything you're confused about, anything you disagree with. If I don't hear from you, I don't learn, and we can't move forward better than we were before. If you don't help me help you, that's the thing. All right. The cheapest, the easiest way to do that, hit the subscribe button. It's completely free, unless you want to go above and beyond, like 2 people so far have done. Shout out to Sadiqa and my guy Kenneth for becoming members. All right. 2 people so far, so many more to come. I'm not really too concerned about that. You guys just do what's best for you. If you can support, however, by any means, and however you may feel called to do so, compelled to do so, please do. Right. But everybody's welcome here. The sports below the surface, truth for the true fan. From me, for you, because I am you. Right. I really enjoyed this discussion, man. That's it. Remember that prayer changes things and the war's already won. Talk to you guys soon.